This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man Tailgate Ted back in Mess Hall with my boy Rally Captain.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Ted, how you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. It feels good to be back in the Mess Hall with you, man.
Oh, definitely does. And I'm what happened last week, you know, we've got to have a short memory, and we're moving on to the Titans. So, hey, let's get it, brother.
What happened last week?
What happened last week?
That went over your head. I got you, man. I got you. Trust me.
See, I'm a little slow. I rode the short bus this morning, but that's all right though. I'm on the big bus right now, so I'm feeling you. Nothing happened last week.
Exactly. It's over with. Actually, something did happen last week, and I meant to ask you, how did that jersey giveaway go from our boys at Woodbridge Collectibles?
Oh, well, Woodbridge Collectibles did us a solid. And not only, like I said, they gave us three things to give away: a Gary Clark jersey, Fred Smoot autographed jersey, and a Redskins football with Darryl Grant and Dexter Manley. And so the people, they loved it. And so, you know, I've been pubbing Woodbridge Collectibles every time we have a rally, and the people have told me that they are going to look into it and give them some business. So I'm hoping that it works out that way for them, because they're a great bunch of guys, and they're doing a good thing at Woodbridge Collectibles.
Definitely, man. I know those giveaways are helping them out, but it's also helping you raise money for the Red Cross, and they're helping us by sponsoring the show. So all of you out there that are watching this, those of you out there that are listening to this, check them out at woodbridgecollectibles.com. Follow them on Instagram, hit them up on Facebook. Let them know that you heard about them from the show, because all that does is help your boy Rally and me, you know, basically let them know that their money is going to a good cause, because that helps us keep the show afloat. And speaking of which, if I'm not mistaken, they got a signing in Virginia Beach with our man Clinton Portis.
That's right. And he's going to be down there along with some other guys to autograph some jerseys. And you guys, if by chance you aren't down there, or you can't make it down there, the beautiful thing about it is you can send it to them. They'll have him sign it and send it back to you. But the main thing also, Ted, that we got to talk about that everybody's forgetting: mention DMV Mess Hall and you'll get 15% off, bro. 15%. Come on, man.
Yeah. No, we can all, you know, save a couple extra dollars, especially after how much I revealed that I spent on the last show on all my new Commanders gear. And then they just dropped those new Nikes today that I'm about to order. So I could use that 15% off so I could hopefully buy some of those new shoes, because I know Coach isn't going to give me his.
Oh, the Pegasus joints, right?
Oh, yeah, man. Those things are fresh.
Oh, yeah. With the W by the heel.
Oh, yeah. You can order them today, and we'll put the picture of them up on our Facebook page, other than the one we took of Coach Rivera wearing his. But back to CP, they're actually having this autograph signing in Virginia Beach on November 12th. So if you guys want to attend, you can get advance tickets at woodbridgecollectibles.com. And even if you don't know if you're going to go and it's last minute, you can get tickets there. The guys are going to have limited jerseys, helmets, footballs, and pictures that you can buy at the event to have Clinton sign. And like Radley said, you can't make it. Just send the guys what you want signed, and they'll mail it back to you. So that's pretty awesome. And I'm hoping to make it down to Virginia Beach. We'll have to see. Not sure what's going on that weekend, but if you can't, you can just get those guys who have collectibles and stuff, and they can actually have it signed. And I want to ask you, man, what's your favorite Clinton Portis memory?
Well, I got several, but I'm going to say, actually, Ted, the first time he donned a Redskin jersey against Tampa Bay, if I'm not mistaken. And
yeah, it was Tampa.
He ran a 65 yard touchdown, first carry. I was like, oh, we got something. Don't get me wrong. I had heard about him when he was the Broncos, but it's one thing when a team is out of your conference, you really don't pay that much attention to them. But now he was with us. I was like, okay, well, let's see what this guy's about. And boom, right off the break, he scores a 65-yard touchdown. Pay dirt. I said, oh, okay, we got something here, baby. We got something. So that's one of my favorite all-time Clinton Portis moments. The other moments, I got to tell you, is when so the team wasn't doing too good, right? And he decided to start doing these little props with these characters on the lighter side of things. That used to crack me up. Those are two of my favorite Clinton Portis moments.
Oh, I remember he would be Janky Spanky and Sheriff Gonna Get Ya and all these different things. And it really lightened up the mood that year. And the guys ended up going on a run. And those are definitely some good ones. I mean, mine, I used, like I said on a previous pod, I used to travel with Mama Portis and the guys to games. And it has to be a 2008 Eagles game. It was then Redskins versus the Eagles, and we were up in Philly. We were down by 14-0 in the first quarter, and Clinton came back that game and ended up having a $149 and a touchdown. I had to look it up, and we ended up winning 23-17. And I've got every Chris Paul Redskins song he ever made saved on my phone, and he's got one line in the song for that upcoming week. We were basically, Philly scored 14 and they thought it was a snap. And then next thing you know, just Clinton just goes off. And I will never forget that game because of that. And then I got to get a chance whenever I went to the games with Mama Portis, we would see CP and the guys outside the locker room and hanging out with all the families out there. And that's when Clinton introduced me to a bunch of the guys on the team. And being a fan of the team, just growing up as that, and actually getting a chance to hang out with the guys for a change after a win like that, that's something I will never forget.
Oh yeah, that's deep embedded into your memory banks, man.
Oh yeah, because there's a couple that I want to forget. I was in Seattle for that playoff game that we lost.
Oh.
And I remember seeing one of our running backs, who I'm not gonna name, just laughing and joking after we just got knocked out the playoffs. And you had Tana and some other guys on that team basically not wanting to beat his ass, but angry as hell when they saw this guy smoking and joking and acting like nothing had just happened. And that's when I realized that that guy is not going to be on this team next year, and who actually was going to continue to carry on that tradition that we had hoped would be more playoff games down the road, because it meant something to the guys that got knocked out of the game. But this one dude, he wasn't on that roster the next year. And you guys might be able to guess who it was, but that's one I kind of wish I could forget, because I might have said a couple of things outside the family section about that player that a couple of people probably did not appreciate. But what are you going to do?
Hey, life goes on, brother.
You live and you learn, man. You live and you learn. And speaking of life going on, now we want to get into some of the player and roster updates for this week. So Wes Schweitzer last Saturday got moved to IR. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it. And then Wes Martin got promoted to the active roster. We're not going to review each week who's signed for the practice squad, because there's just way too many people moving and going up and going down from that. But Schweitzer is on IR. So that means you're kind of limited in regards to your centers. And Chase Rouillet has basically been put on IR as well, because they're able to get another evaluation of his knee, and it's not good. They're hoping he's going to be able to come back before the season's over. But at that point, who knows what the season's going to look like? And do you want to potentially rush him back, like Rivera admitted doing to Trey Turner during, Monday's press conference? So we'll see what happens. But the good news is the team restructured Chase Rouillet's contract. So they converted $4.5 million of his base salary into a signing bonus, creating $3 million in cap space. So I gotta assume that means we're gonna bring somebody on. We're gonna do something to address some of these holes we got, because why else would you convert Chase's salary?
Don't have a choice. Well, yeah, we don't have a choice. You can take that money to the bank, because it's already being spent right now.
Oh yeah, and who knows who it's going to be or what's going on. The interesting thing is, okay, you moved Chase, and Chase was already on short-term IR, but what are you going to do? Because now you've got other players that you need to bring on board. And then you potentially have Chase Young coming back. You potentially have Brian Robinson, who's actually been cleared to practice and did practice today. So who are you going to demote off of the 53? Because you're also trying to bring back Tyler Larson, who was your other backup center. So they got a lot of juggling they got to do with this roster, because we got a bunch of holes that we got to fill. But if you move somebody to IR, if it's short term, they're out for several weeks. If it's long term, they're done. And if you try and cut them, they got to clear waivers. So that's not going to happen with these guys. So I'm interested to see how they're going to be able to maneuver all this, especially when Chase Young is supposedly going to be ready to go, because who are you going to move and whose spot is he going to take?
So Chase has been cleared to practice.
Chase Young has not. Brian Robinson has.
Correct.
So,
okay. Well, you said he's good to go, and I was thinking maybe this was something that I didn't hear about that possibly this game. So no. Okay.
So he's good to go in regards to the clock. So
Gotcha.
it has now met his basically preseason clock that he couldn't play for the first 4 games. Now we're in week 5. They're eligible to activate him. They have not activated him yet. After you activate someone off that list, you've got to move them to the actual roster within 21 days. So Brian Robinson practiced, but he has not been moved to the active roster. So they haven't had to clear an actual roster spot for him yet. So it's those things that make you curious on how the Martys are going to handle all this with roster manipulation.
It's going to be interesting, bro. But one thing that I always say is that's why they get paid the big bucks.
Yeah.
I'm just a fan, and I will ride and die with who they put on the in between the lines. So I'm really interested myself to see who we got, who we're picking up. And I didn't hear any Adam Schefter spots saying who we practiced this week, who came into practice. I didn't hear anything like that. Did you hear any nuggets?
So they didn't actually bring any players to the active roster this week. We only brought guys up to the practice squad. So those were more depth guys. Sam Cosmi, when we recorded on Monday, it came out Monday night that Cosmi hurt his thumb in that Cowboys game. Since then, Cosmi actually has had surgery. He had surgery yesterday, and Ben Standing from The Athletic was the first to report that. So this is actually Rivera talking about Cosmi and that injury.
It was reported that Sam Cosmi had hand surgery. Do you guys have a feel for timeline?
No feel for the timeline. He did have surgery. It was done the other day. It was successful, and we'll see after he gets a chance to see the doctors. It's really going to be about wound management as far as that's concerned, and then we'll go from there.
So losing Cosmi is huge. He's our highest Pro Football Focus run blocker.
Yeah.
And his pass blocking has been a little suspect, but I really think a majority of that was Carson not stepping into the pocket. Carson just continuing to back up, and Cosmi's trying to get that defensive end to go around, and Carson is like a magnet and just kind of runs right into the guy. So I don't really put all those on Sam.
Yeah.
The good news is, if you can extrapolate any good, Cornelius Lucas is supposed to take Cosmi's spot at right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So Cosmi got hurt last year. Lucas actually played 580 snaps at right tackle when Cosmi went down. So it's not like he's got no experience there. Lucas is mainly a left tackle, but he had to play right last year. And according to PFF last year, Lucas had a run and a pass blocking grade of 70 plus, which isn't bad. It's not bad for a backup. It's worrisome if I am Carson, because I got a new center in Nick Martin. I got a new right guard in Sadiq Charles, and I got a new right tackle in Cornelius Lucas. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys mesh. But like you said during one of our other shows, I'm going to stop referencing past shows, but you talked about Scott Turner and it being his job to understand the deficiencies in his line and putting them in good situations to win. And I feel that we'll get into in our keys of the week, but that's why you've got to run block. And having played offensive line, I hated pass blocking, man. It was horrible. You're just a punching bag. So if you let these guys run block versus pass block and having to play off stunts where you're just going after the guy in front of you, or maybe you're pulling or moving here and there, you know who you're going to hit versus having to guess who you're going after because the defense is adjusting. It'll be easier for that new line to adjust on that right-hand side. I'm curious what you're thinking.
Well, I'm thinking, Ted, it seems to me that right now our strengths are our running game. That's what I think our strength is right now is our running game. So because of that, we got to figure out a way to keep that ball moving with an occasional pass here or there. But I want to see the guy and who ran the ball last week, who took AG's spot.
Jonathan Williams.
That's what I want to see. I really do. I feel that he's a natural back. I feel that he can make himself small and get through the holes. There's no feel to it. I saw him do it. We all saw him do it. Like I said, I got nothing against AG. I don't. But I think that if we're really going to change some things up, change them up. Don't be lazy. Yeah. Don't be lazy. Let's try everything. You got everybody who's waiting in the wings. So if you're gonna change it up, change it up. Put this cat in and see what he can do. Because I believe from the eye test, it just looks like he's a more of a natural runner. Like Robinson looks like he's more of a natural runner. So
in those that don't remember, they wondered, why did you keep Jonathan Williams over Jarrett Patterson? Well, they said they liked Williams' running style and it reminded them of Robinson. So that's why the team decided to keep him over Patterson, which I know a lot of fans are upset about, but we were calling it here on the mess hall. There's no way Patterson's making this roster. The only thing that concerns me is I don't see him potentially being active if Brian Robinson is going to play. And this is actually Coach Rivera talking about how Brian Robinson did today in practice.
How did Brian look? How good was it to have him back out there?
It was good to have him out there, and he looked solid. I mean, he's got a little bit of ways to go. Conditioning will be a question, that's for sure. But just watching him, I mean, his retention, his recall looked pretty good. And, we did some of the things that, he does well. He was out there doing them. So it looked good. It was all promising.
What are you going to look for to see, like, if you could play this weekend? And does the fact that you play another game on Thursday factor into anything with this week?
Yes, it will. The biggest thing is we'll have to take a look at how he handled today, tomorrow morning. Come in, see where he is, see how he feels. That's always a good indicator when a guy really gets his first real workout, is how he's reacting the next day. And then as we get into it, and if he practices again like he did today, then we'll see if there's any drop-off. We have the GPS tracking that will be able to give us his speeds just to see where they are. And that's something that we'll most certainly take a look at, because I know the trainers and the strength conditioning staff will be looking at those.
So for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, we'll have a couple of videos that all the beat reporters are taking of Brian Robinson in practice. And, granted, it's individual drills and small things here and there, but he looked good. And I cannot see the team. You only have so many positions that you can activate. You don't have a full 53 on game day. You have to declare inactives. So you're going to have your J.D. McKissick. You're going to have your Antonio Gibson. Are they also going to keep Jonathan Williams active and Brian Robinson active? It is uncommon to have 4 running backs active on game day because you're also thin at offensive line. So odds are you're going to have more offensive linemen active on Sunday than you typically would because you are so thin. And Charles Leno was a limited participant in practice today. He was banged up during that Cowboys game, and he is still banged up with a shoulder. And I think he actually had a red beanie on today where people couldn't really touch him or hit him. So it will be interesting, once again, with that roster manipulation and that juggling. Do we see Williams? The good news is, if we don't see Williams, that means Robinson, according to the team and the trainers, more importantly, is ready to actually go. But for those that are wondering, it is Wednesday the 5th at 3:58 that we're recording this. So a lot can happen between Wednesday and Saturday.
My biggest question is, so they said he had practice, which I'm cool with that. What type of practice do we know? Was there a type of contact? What exactly were they doing today to give him that warm and fuzzy that he had?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And if you go back, look at the videos, those that are wondering, I mean, he was doing a lot of cutting, a lot of running. He ran a couple plays, caught a couple passes. It looks like the guys were in full pads today, but your contact is going to be limited. They're not taking anybody to the ground. They didn't do that in training camp, nothing like that. But one good thing is Rivera said that there was a play where he was wondering, they made sure that they ran it to a way where Robinson was going to have to cut and test that knee that was shot. And he did, and he looked fine. And this is actually Robinson himself. Commanders made him available for interview about his practice and how he did.
Have any limitations? Feel like you couldn't trust the knee as much, or were you able to pretty much do what you felt like in the preseason?
My plan today was to, just go out there and just, see what I could do. And I did a little bit more than I thought I would be able to do today. So, that's positive.
And if you are able to play, just being a few days away from your regular season NFL debut, I mean, maybe you don't want to look too far ahead, but just what would that opportunity be like, and how exciting would it be to be back in the lineup?
That would be great, but right now it's just one day at a time, continue to make, positive strides, and, hopefully soon.
Brian, do you think he'll be able to play Sunday, or is that too soon?
Just one day at a time, honestly. I couldn't even tell you right now.
It's really going to come down to how does he respond tomorrow morning when he gets back at the park after a practice full of actually doing stuff versus just being on the side field on that Ashburn cycling team. That's going to dictate if he's going to play this weekend.
Listening with my third ear, I say he's not playing Sunday, which is fine with me. Let's pull him out on Thursday against Chicago. But my third ear tells me, no, he's not playing Sunday.
Yeah, we'll see. I have a feeling he's going to, but it's all just going to depend.
Okay.
I'll make you a friendly wager, maybe a beer in Chicago when I see you out there, if he does play or not. But regardless if he plays or not, he was shot, what was it, August 28th.
Yeah.
The fact that we are debating if he's going to actually suit up this week versus next week is a miracle in and of itself. And I couldn't be happier for the kid and more excited for him. And I hope selfishly that he does get to start, given he is healthy at home, because the fan base that's going to be out there is going to show him so much love.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's going to bring people to tears.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Tears. Wow. You going to cry, Ted?
Possibly, man. I'm rooting for this kid. And I've been a fan of his in camp, just seeing him and everything he's gone through. And if you guys get a chance after you listen to our show, go back and listen to B-Rob's press conference. He talks about his lowest moment in his life to date being in the hospital bed after he was shot, and just sitting there and just trying to reflect on all the adversity. And he actually called himself the king of adversity. And, it's to go through something like that and to potentially have your dream taken away from you, and to now potentially being a couple snaps away from stepping on a football field that you dreamed about doing since you were a child. I'm all for this kid. And this is a Disney movie waiting to happen.
Oh, so just like Alex Smith, I mean, we're gonna see it on 6:30 for 30. So
oh yeah, I'm just hoping this is a better 30 for 30 for the Commanders/Redskins than the Alex Smith one turned out.
Exactly.
That one was ugly.
Yeah.
But speaking of ugly, Jahan Dotson has a hamstring, and he tweaked it on a play that should have been holding against Diggs, and shocker, the refs didn't call it because little home cooking. Dotson is actually tied for the most touchdown with Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer because he's most likely not going to be there on Sunday. He didn't practice today. So all that means is next man up. I'm hoping that means Cam Sims can actually show something other than what he put on tape with that flea flicker, or De'Ami Brown has something going on, because Cam doesn't have a catch this season, and De'Ami, a third-round pick, only has one catch for 6 yards that he got against the Cowboys. So those guys got to do something this week now that they actually got an opportunity.
Oh yeah, it's time to shine. We brought De'Ami in for a reason, and there's no more next guy attitude. It's him. He is the guy. He will be the guy. So I'm hoping that he has shown them what he actually can do and what we've seen him do, possibly get off the bad boy list because they really haven't targeted him that much. And I'm wondering, is it because maybe the faith just isn't there like it was going into camp versus now maybe they've shown him something in practice to where he can really get the confidence up to give him the ball.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering, and I don't have the stat pulled up. I'm wondering if Diami has actually been inactive a couple of games. That's why he doesn't really have a ton of touches.
Mhm.
Because I've got to go back and look, and I'll pull it up and put it on the YouTube page. But he's going to be active this week. He's going to have to because Jahan's not going to be there. And our red zone threat, believe it or not, is a rookie in Jahan Dotson. Carson loves throwing the ball to him. I'm not going to complain. And I know a lot of people out there that have him on their fantasy team aren't going to complain, which I don't do fantasy football, and I'll tell you why here in a little bit. But we need another red zone threat. So to me, that screams Cam Sims on a fade. He's got that height. He's got that big body. He can take that inside slant and take away that inside contain for potential cornerbacks covering him. So I'm hoping we see something out of Diami. I'm more so hoping we see something out of Cam because everyone's been yelling and screaming, it's Cam's chance. It's Cam's chance. Well, guess what? Now really is Cam's chance if Jahan's not there because that moves him to wide receiver 3. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm one of the ones who was a big, and I still am a big Cam Sims proponent. So I'm hoping that you're right, that he can get his chance and his mind will really be in it this week because he knows he's the guy. You know, a lot of times when you're that second guy, you pay attention, but not as much as you possibly should until the fire's on your butt. So now the fire basically is on his butt. So we'll see if his head is really going to be in the game.
Yeah, and it's hopefully going to. And, you know, he's got a shot, so we'll see what happens. But
yeah,
in the NFL power rankings, the Commanders were 30th last week. So I'm going to ask, did they go up or did they go down in your eyes based after that L we took in Dallas?
Ah, gosh.
Keep in mind, there's only 32 teams.
Yeah,
which
I
I know
know.
you know that.
Yeah. See, on one aspect, certain parts of our defense, our run stopping defense looked good. Our pass offense did not look so good. So I was gonna say we could move down a spot, but I think we probably went up a spot. What is it? What does it say?
So we were 30th. We actually moved up to 29th. So you got that right. And I didn't send you the link ahead of time. So I'm telling you, man, maybe I'm just going to give you money or give you my FanDuel login because you live in Virginia and you can just try and put some bets for me because I'm not hitting any of mine and you got something going on your end.
Well, you know, like I said, when you think about it, and I look back, and I still have not had time to look at the video, but we did a hell of a job stopping the run last week. I was actually surprised, and so it goes back to when they say we've got a lot of football left. You know, people can mold, they can gel, they can bring it together. I'm starting to see our run stopping defense gelling now. If we can just get our DBs to be on the same page, I mean, we would be a force to reckon with. But I'm proud of our run stoppers, our front four.
Oh yeah,
really am. And
no, they've
I'm
definitely stepped up.
yeah, and I'm proud of who was a sore thumb in our on our team for a long time. De'Ami Brown. I mean Jahan Dotson. Damn, excuse me. My mind is just going a mile a minute right now.
Jamin Davis.
Jamin Davis. He
I
was
know
a
what you're
sore
saying.
thumb. Yeah, he was a sore thumb for us. But Jamin Davis has stepped his game up. He's still not where we would like for him to be, but each week he is improving. So that's why I said, we probably went up a ways. Just a point.
We definitely did. And we went up, and the Bears, who we play in just a couple of days, went down. So the Bears were 27th. They dropped to 30th. So the Bears took our spot. The Panthers, who were 29th, dropped to 31st. And the Texans stayed at 32nd. So the good news is we play all those teams except Carolina. We don't play Carolina this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the Bears coming up, and we'll preview them later on. We got to figure out that schedule and how that's going to happen. but we dropped or went up to 29th. And it's saying here, offense looks like hard work when you're watching the Commanders. The pass protection is poor, and Carson Wentz never seems comfortable as he repeatedly throws into tight windows. Washington struggles beyond the quarterback, however. On Sunday against the Cowboys, there were 11 penalties for 136 yards, with 2 of those infractions wiping away Cooper Rush interceptions in a 25-10 loss. Ron Rivera is a respected figure throughout league circles, but that doesn't feel like an organization moving in the right direction. So we all know what happened last week. We talked about it. We reviewed it, got a little heated about it.
Yeah.
Good news is, like you said, we are making certain strides. It's just we need all aspects of the ball to play well at the same time. We had the offense play well in one game and the defense did. We had the defense play well and the offense did. We had special teams S the bet. I mean, if we can just all get on the same page for once, then we'll have a chance to actually pull out a W. And I'm hoping that's going to be this week because the Titans aren't that strong. Now, their power rankings, they're 12th in the NFL. They were 12th prior to this week, and they stayed there. And it's saying here, Sunday had to be a soothing day for the defending AFC South champions. Derrick Henry ran all over the rival Colts like in the good old days, and Tennessee pulled itself back to 500 with a 24-17 win over its longtime rival. Mike Vrabel's team is back on track, but issues linger most distressingly. The ones coming out of the halftime tunnel. The Titans have been strangely inept in the second half of the first 4 games, outscored by a whopping total of 64-7 in those contests. It didn't cost them against a struggling Colts offense on Sunday, but better opponents will storm through the door the Titans keep leaving open. So knowing that the Titans have not been a second half team, they're basically the opposite of us. We can't score in the first half and they can't score in the second half. So they're letting people come back into games. And jumping into this Titans matchup, we've got a chance to get this one. And it's why I don't want to say adamant, but it's why I was trying to tell people during our last show, the sky isn't falling yet. We have a winnable game versus Tennessee.
Right.
The Titans aren't the same Titans that we all remember watching last year when they were in the playoffs, when they won the AFC South. They don't got A.J. Brown. He's not there anymore. Their best wide receiver is what, Robert Woods? I mean, how old's that guy? Their other wide receivers don't have more than 5 catches on the team. So we really do have a shot going against Tennessee. And the last time we played them was 2018. And I remember the game well because we had to shut down Mariota. The only problem was Josh Johnson was our starting quarterback.
Yep.
And we ended up losing that game 25-16. And I'm sure you were there for it. And that wasn't pretty. And we've lost 3 straight games. I'm not telling anybody something they don't already know. A lot of people are saying this is a code red game, to quote Jay Gruden. You know, for you, is this a must win?
Well, at this point, Ted, to me, all these games are must win. But when I look at things realistically, I almost think that we could drop one more. Not that I want to. I don't want anybody to say, well, Rally Captain said we could drop. No, but I think that we could drop just one more, but after that, we'd have to be perfect. So I'm not going to say it's a must win right now, but for morale with the team and the fan base, it's a must win. You know, as far as statistics are concerned, no, it's not a must win. But morale and getting back on track to be able to go into Chicago hypothetically with a win, it's a must win. So we're going to need that on a short week, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go as far as saying it's a must win because I don't feel that we're a playoff team. If you feel that we're a playoff team, then yes, it's a must win. You've got to do something because going down 1-4 to make the playoffs, I was trying to find a stat, really couldn't find it. It's pretty much an impossible task. And we've got a tough schedule towards the latter half of the year. And, you know, we've got thankfully 10 days before we play the Packers after that Bears game, but it's still going to be a tough task. So is something going to happen if we don't win this game? Our head's going to roll or things going to change? No. In that aspect, I don't think it's a must win. But from a fan base perspective, You're 1,000% spot on. This fan base is ready to revolt. It's pitchforks and torches time out at Commanders Park. And if you want to see fans in those stands against that Packers game or the Vikings game or the Falcons game or whatever we got coming up down the road, you got to win this game. Mm-hmm. And right now we're 2.5-point underdogs versus Tennessee at home. So that's a little insulting. I get why. The Titans have won 2 games in a row. We've lost 3 in a row. The Titans lost their first 2 games. One was a season opener to the Giants, and the other one was Monday night against the Bills. So I don't blame them for getting their butts whooped against the Bills. The Giants game, to me, is a little suspect, but the first game of the year with a new head coach, with no film on what he wants to do, that's a tough task. And we were able to do it against the Jags, but the Titans weren't able to do it against the Giants. So the crazy thing is going to be, we know what the Titans need to do to win. We know what they like to do, and that's running the damn ball, giving it to Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Henry had 21 carries for 82 yards against the Giants, big fat L. 13 carries for 25 yards against the Bills, another loss. The 2 wins, he had 20 carries for 85 against the Raiders, and he blew up last week, 22 carries for 114 against the Titans. And the Titans actually have, against the Colts. And the Colts actually have a pretty good run defense. So that's a little worrisome on Henry. Basically, I don't want to say getting his groove back, but he's starting to get his mojo and he's moving. And I completely forgot that Derrick Henry and John Allen played together with Daron Payne in Alabama. Slept on that.
Yep.
So
sure did.
John Allen joined the Sports Junkies, who we've talked about multiple times on the show. They're a local station here, 106.7 The Fan, and he's on with them every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. And this is actually what John said about how you stop a back like Derrick Henry.
Anything between the 2 tackles, that's me and Payne's play to make. That mentality that we try to have when we go out there every week. I think you're seeing the focus that we've put into it the last couple of weeks to really hone in on it. I think you're seeing it pay off in the games.
How do you do that, though, against a beast like Derrick Henry? Because he is a different animal.
I think it's about dominating the line of scrimmage. I'm a firm believer of I don't care who you have back there at running back. Mm-hmm. If you're dominating the line of scrimmage, it's going to make it tough for him, especially with Derrick Henry being a momentum runner. You know what I mean? If you let him get his momentum up, it's tough. But if you get him in the backfield before his momentum is built, you have a good chance. So, I like our chances, and I like our opportunity to go out there and see what we can do.
And you mentioned it earlier, Allen, Payne, they got a third of your rally chain this past week. They stepped up against Zeke and Tony, Pollard against the Cowboys. So our run defense has not been the problem. It's been the pass defense. So they got a shot at potentially slowing down Derrick Henry because, it's Buffalo, the Bills. My wife took them and put some money on them at the beginning of the year at a sports book to win the Super Bowl, or I think make it to the Super Bowl. The Bills are a contender. I don't blame them for shutting down Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
We're not. So the fact that we allowed 135 rushing yards on 58 attempts over the last 2 weeks, that's 2.3 yards a carry. And keep in mind, I'm going to stop saying we talked about it, but that's without Phil Mathis, your stud 2nd-round pick that you wanted to get to be that run stuffer. So at a certain point, we mentioned it's a manhood test, and John Allen and Daron Payne going against their former teammate in Alabama, that's a manhood test that I am excited to be front row and center to watch on Sunday. I don't know about you.
Oh, heck yeah. And the thing is, we got to understand that they get paid too. The other team gets paid too. So it's going to be a good matchup. And one thing that I got to tell you that's on a definitely bright spot is the fact that the temperature is going to be about 70, clear skies, great football weather, 65 to 70 on Sunday, great football weather. And it's breast cancer awareness. So, I'm going to do a couple things with the W to have to recognize breast cancer awareness. So I can't wait to see you, see everybody. And to see the team. Don't let us down, team, because you haven't lost us yet. You're hearing the boo and the hissing, but you haven't lost us yet. So don't let us down. And here's the other thing, Ted, I'll say this. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Of course, we want the team to lose, to win. Excuse me, we want the team to win, but it's how you lose is what we care about. If that makes sense.
Makes
If you get
perfect
your-
sense.
If you're getting your doors blown off, nobody wants to see that. But if you're playing a 23-21 game, I mean, and it's a nail biter, then yeah, we don't mind that. Of course, we want the dub, but you're very, very competitive, and that's what we want to see.
And all I care about is competitive football.
Mhm.
All I care about is being in competitive games in December, in the winter, because I am sick and tired of the stands at FedEx being empty come December, or the guy beside me getting his ticket off a StubHub for $5 because we're not good anymore. And the season ticket holder decided to sell his ticket because he didn't want to be there in the cold. I mean, I'm going to be there no matter what. I know you're going to be there no matter what. And the majority of our listeners are going to be there no matter what, especially after the reaction we got from our little rant we had on our past show. It's just the team has to give us, not us, but the team has to give other people a reason to show up. And I didn't cut up the clip, but it was John Allen on the Junkies basically said, we're going to turn this thing around. And keep that in mind. If you're booing now, cheer as loud as you're booing when we turn this thing around.
Mhm.
And, that's a scary man I would not want to meet in a dark alley, because he is definitely intimidating and he has heart. And I can't wait for that black jersey to come out because I want to buy John Allen. And damn all those people that can give me a hard time about it, I don't care. I want that jersey because John, number one, is going to be here for a long time. And he's a local boy from Ashburn. And he bleeds burgundy and gold. He loves this team as much, if not more than we do. He grew up here and he's got heart. And I was shocked when I put a poll out on Twitter asking, what jersey should I buy at that team event? And my list was Chase Young, Terry, John Allen, and Jahan Dotson. At the end of a day, people said Jahan Dotson over the other three. And I was kind of surprised at that, considering Jahan just got here. And who knows what he's actually going to turn into, because obviously it's only been 4 games. If it was me, it would have been Terry or John, and that's actually who I'm going to buy anyway. But regardless, I was a little shocked.
Well, he's that new shiny toy.
Oh, yeah.
So anytime that you've got a new shiny toy, naturally people are gonna, be geared toward him. I mean, just look at when Terry came in, and everybody wanted a Terry jersey. I mean, people still want Terry jerseys, but the fact of the matter is, Terry isn't on the highlight reel as much this year as Jahan is. So I understand it.
Yeah, and I've told myself I will never buy a quarterback jersey, obviously because we go through a million of them here. And I stopped buying players' jerseys, and I just got a Tailgate Ted jersey. But because I can't get a Tailgate Ted jersey, I talked myself into buying a Terry jersey because of our past show. So I had to do that. And you know what? I'm just going to get a John Allen black one because they just look great. And I'm a big fan of John's. And I'm hoping he's right, man. I'm hoping they get a chance to stop Derrick Henry this week, because that's really what the task is going to be. But we asked our listeners, what do the Commanders need to do? And sorry, not what do they need to do. It's the Commanders will win this game against the Titans because. And I didn't want to just throw an arbitrary question out there. Want to try and keep this show positive leading into this game against Tennessee, because frankly, it is a must win. And we got a couple of text messages and a couple of voicemails. And the first voicemail we got is from Cord Kindle.
The reason the Commanders will beat the Titans on Sunday is because we will play 4 quarters of football. We will be stellar on defense, and then we'll be stellar on offense. We'll get a rhythm going. We'll find Terry. He's going to have a big day. I think we'll beat the Titans 31-17.
Yeah, that was Cord, and thank you for
Cord,
leaving
okay.
that voicemail. Cord, C-O-R-D.
Appreciate that, Cord. Yeah, I didn't hear you at first. That's why I said you said Cord, but yeah, cool, Cord. Hey, man, we appreciate that, brother. And there are times when me and Ted can be negative, but I like that call because I've always said from the get-go, if this team could play 4 quarters of football, so I appreciate you saying that, we can beat any team, but we have yet to play 4 quarters of full football. Not even with Jacksonville did we play 4 quarters, but we won.
Yeah, we definitely got a shot. And Cord, we're 1,000% in agreement with you, man. If they can do that, they definitely can walk out of FedEx Field with another W. And imagine being 2-1 at home. Hey, I'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
We got this text message from Robin from upstate New York. I know you know who Robin is, and we appreciate her listening and watching on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, Robin. How you doing, sweetheart?
She put, why should our team beat the Titans? Because we all deserve a smile on Sunday afternoon. And I agree that we all deserve a smile on Sunday afternoon. And I appreciate you texting, Robin. I'm not sure if that's why we're going to win, because there have been a lot of Sundays where I really wanted to smile and it hasn't happened. And I'm sure the Titans fans are hoping the same thing. But I pray to God you're right, because it would be nice walking out of FedEx with a smile after the last time we were there in that Eagles game. And I definitely wasn't smiling. Our next message here is from Reggie Skinner. Reggie, huge P1 of the show, always messages us on Instagram and on Twitter. Says they'll beat the Titans because I'm coming to the game to cheer. And I hopefully Reggie's our good luck charm, but he says, no, seriously, the Titans have a strong run game. We've not been as tested by the run due to our pass pro being soft. That said, I think our D-line eats this week and the sack numbers increase. And get this, a Montez Sweat signing. Offense will do their part this week. Run and pass will score. As always, great job, fellas. See you Sunday, HTTC. And Reggie, I think you're right, man. I think we got a chance, and it's going to start up front. It's going to start in the trenches with that D-line. And Montez must be really good at horseshoes because he is so close.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Every time, man.
Yeah.
He hasn't got that ringer yet, but he has been so close. And I think this Sunday against Tannehill, he's going to get there and he's going to get his sack. And part of me wanted to tweet that it's almost karma, since he and Chase put out that Sack Brothers little picture they did last year with the Step Brothers, saying they're going to break the record. And he doesn't have a single sack yet. But I think he's got a chance this week to actually record that first one. We got another message here from Antonio from Facebook. Said here, maybe Rivera will finally give his coordinators an earful and recognize that the fan base is calling the coaches out on deficiencies they themselves should have game planned better for. We don't get paid like they do, yet seems other teams game plan better for us. I think there's something to be said about what our analysts share with public forums like Command Center. If other teams tune in like we do, they already know what we're working on and what our players are dealing with in terms of injuries and status of practice. And Antonio, thanks for sending us that message on Facebook. And not sure if that's why we're going to win this week, but if you're worried about what the Titans are watching on our social media platforms like Command Center that my good friend Julie hosts with Santana Moss and Logan Paulson, they've got tape, they've got film, they know everything that's happening. I'm sorry, what Santana says he saw in practice is not something that they have not talked about or seen on film. Just so everyone knows listening, the media is only allowed to be at practice for a very small portion. Then after that, they leave, and then the team starts to install their actual game plan. The media has not seen that game plan. They don't get a chance to comment on that or talk about that or even know what's going on, just to accidentally leak it. So don't be concerned about that. Unfortunately, like we talked before, it's just being too predictable with Scott Turner's offense and knowing our deficiencies because our offensive line can't block. Has nothing to do with them watching the Commanders' YouTube page.
Yeah.
And then we got this other one from Jason from Facebook. They have no other chance because the season will be over and everyone will be fired. This season, this might be a 3-win season. And I know I said I'd try to keep the negatives out of this one, but Jason took the time to send that in to us. So I want to add that. I mean, like you said, Riley, the other team gets paid. So just because they have no other chance, well, the Titans can basically shut that down and stop it. And I've been trying to think of my answer on why the Commanders will win this Sunday. But before I give mine, this is a voicemail that we got from Eric Cassidy.
Ted and Rally Captain. It's Eric Cassidy on Twitter, South Jersey. So we're definitely going to win this week. And the number one reason why is I am bringing my 2-year-old son to his first game, section 134, row 1. He will also be attending the tailgate that Ted hosts. So that's the number one. Number two, I think that I firmly believe this week, I mean, what we definitely have to do is be more creative offensively and get these guys open in space. I think that's big this week. And obviously we got to stop the run. But I think we're going to be okay this week. I think our strength of our defense is that with Payne and inside with defensive tackles and Jonathan Allen, I think that we're going to be okay. The defensive end's got to come up big this week. We've been lacking that, but I think we're going to be all right. So I'll see you Sunday, Ted, and hope all is well, everybody.
And Eric, I appreciate it, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on Sunday and seeing your kid out there for his first game. It'll be a good one. And I'm hoping and praying that we get him a W for his first memory at FedEx Field.
Heck yeah. I love to hear that. I love to hear that. And if I can, I'm in 132. And so that's just 2 sections over for me. And I'm a firm believer of taking pictures with the kids so that you can have them in the memory books. Because one thing that, you know, I believe in is, and who I looked up to was Chief Z. And Chief Z would go out of his way to do those types of things. And a lot of people have said that I remind them of Chief Z. And I always try to tell people, well, there's only one chief, and I'm rally captain, but I appreciate being mentioned in the same breath as Chief Z. So I want to be able to take a picture with your son in this first game. I think it'll be very memorable.
And I Chief was like a dad to me, and I still miss him. And one of Chief's sons is actually going to be at the tailgate this Sunday, Ish. I'm looking forward to seeing him and giving him a hug because I haven't seen him since a funeral.
Yeah.
And I remember Chief would come to every tailgate that I hosted. And there was a fan that had a picture of him and his dad with Chief back in the 80s. And he brought it to Chief then to sign for the first time, basically, you know, in 20, whatever it was at that point, like maybe 15 or 16. And Chief got the biggest tear on his eye because that guy had a framed picture of him with his dad. And then he brought his son at that time to basically recreate the picture and that memory with him. And I know it meant a lot to Chief to do that. And you're spot on, man. I got a picture of me and my dad in my first ever like Redskins jacket that I still have to this day as my background. And it's those memories, win or lose, priceless. Yeah. Absolutely priceless. Because all that kid is going to remember is being at a game with his dad. He's not going to remember if we won or if we lost or what happened. He's just going to remember having a good time out there. And that's why we continue to go to games as a fan base, because we enjoy being there for those small, priceless moments that you never know when they're going to come. Mm-hmm. But jumping back on topic, the Commanders will win on Sunday because, from your standpoint, man, why are we going to win on Sunday?
We're going to win on Sunday because we're due, Ted. And I don't need to go too deep into it, but this team is due for a win. You know, we can talk about, well, this person's got to do that, that person's got to do that. No, this team is due for a win, and that's why we're going to win.
And I've been trying to think of reasons why we're going to win since we came up with this topic. And I'm not one for feeling. I'm an analytics type of person. That guy that's been trying to get my pocketbook for a while, you're happy now. All right. So I like numbers and I like trying to rationalize things. The Titans are not that good against the run. Right. We had 101 yards in the first half against the Cowboys, and we got away from our game plan. The Titans are giving up, I think it is 5.3 yards a carry. So we got a chance. Actually, no, 4.8 yards a carry. They're 19th in the league against the run. So their run defense is not as good. and we got a chance to actually do something. We put that up against the Cowboys, who have a better defense than the Titans. So if we can stick to that game plan, we got a chance. The thing that scares me, and you're about to jump.
I was gonna say I didn't hear that stat, but you said that we had 101 yards on the ground at the half.
Yeah. 101 yards on the ground at the half. We finished the game with 142 yards and 5.3 yards per carry. The problem is Scott Turner got away from it. And that's what I am hoping he does not do this week, because the Titans are not that good against the run. The scary part is, for the fan base, they're even worse against the pass. The Titans are tied for fourth most passing yards allowed this season with 1,096. Now, granted, you played Buffalo, they're going to get a ton of yards. They're allowing quarterbacks to complete 68% of their passes, 67.8. They're tied for the most passing touchdowns in the league with 10. So the Titans do not have a stout pass defense, and their rush defense is not good. I am just concerned that Scott Turner is going to look at this and lick his chops, thinking, oh, I couldn't get the pass going against the Cowboys because their pass defense is better, and they got a Trayvon Diggs, but the Titans' pass defense doesn't scare me. They've got, who's their DBs? They've got, let's see here, Terrence Mitchell. Never heard of him. They've got Roger McCreary, Rashad Weaver, Christian Fulton. They don't have a bunch of household names in their secondary.
Yeah, nobody's jumping off the page. Yeah.
Vrabel is just a good coach. So I hope Scott Turner does not go to his tendency of wanting to pass, because our offensive line can't handle that this week, because we are banged up. And mentioned earlier, used to play football, hated pass blocking. It was a nightmare. If you let an offensive line do what they want to do, and that is run block, you got a chance to win this game. You got a chance to control the line of scrimmage, because if you can turn the Titans one-dimensional, like we wanted them to do against Dallas last week, which they actually did, then you got a chance, because you don't have a CeeDee Lamb that you're going against. You don't have a Noah Brown that you're going against with the Cowboys. You got Robert Woods and a bunch of C-listers. They don't got A.J. Brown anymore. Tannehill is not a scary quarterback. Tannehill rides the shoulders of Derrick Henry. And if we can shut Derrick Henry down, which I really feel that we can, because of who you mentioned earlier on the show, Jamin Davis, because of Daron Payne, because of John Allen, because our run defense has gotten better as we've gotten further along, we can win this game on Sunday. And I'm not trying to talk myself into it, because I also think that at a certain point, they got to win this game, because we've lost 3 straight, and that locker room has got to be pissed. But that means nothing in regards to statistics. But I feel, and regardless of what you think of him, Larry Michael was a friend of mine, still is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He would always come up with a stat called skin tangibles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Larry's a homer. He's doing this for his TV show. He's doing this for ratings. If there was a commander tangible, or whatever you want to call it now, it's that. We have to win this game. These guys have been embarrassed 3 weeks in a row, and they get paid to play the game. And at a certain point, they got to look in the mirror and say, we cannot let this one go. And that's why I think we're going to win on Sunday.
Yeah, that check time.
It definitely is. But speaking of that time, who is your Woodbridge Collectibles signature player of the week?
This week, whoever replaces William Jackson will be my signature player.
I don't think anybody's replacing William Jackson.
No, seriously. I'm going to say I'm going to go actually with Carson Wentz. He is going to be my Woodbridge Collectibles signature player of the week. I believe Carson is going to figure it out, just like the rest of the team. And we will go how he goes, unless Scott Turner puts us in a bad predicament. whether that means him throwing the 5-yard dump and the guy's getting the yak for the first. And for those who don't know, yak is yards after the catch. So Carson Wentz is monumental in this game. Even if it's him carrying out his fakes to make it look like, he doesn't have it. He's got to do all that stuff, and he's the guy that touches the ball every play on offense. So it's going to come down to, I believe, what Carson does, and hopefully he isn't shell-shocked. So I could be wrong, but I see a bounce-back game from Carson.
Yeah, I hope you're not wrong, because I do see a good game from Carson. I'm hoping you're spot on. For me, I was going to go with Terry, but I think it's going to have to be John Allen. And up front, it's going to have to be those guys. And this was actually Ron Rivera talking about how you stop Derrick Henry, because the key to winning this game is shutting down Derrick Henry.
A couple weeks ago, we asked you about how do you stop Jalen Hurts. You said discipline. Now you have a Derrick Henry, power running back for Tennessee. What's the key to kind of slow him down?
Same thing. I mean, you have to be where you're supposed to be. You got to make sure you're in your creases. You got to make sure that you're squared up in your creases. You don't want to be getting to there as he's already there, because then you'll end up in an arm tackle, and as you've seen, he goes right through arm tackles. You've got to make sure you're where you need to be. You're in a good football position, and you deliver a nice tackle, head up, everything, seeing what you're hitting, and you give yourself a chance to stop this guy.
There's no one more disciplined on our team than John Allen. There's no one that is going to hold his teammates more accountable than John Allen. And I feel he has a chance to potentially take this over. And he had 6 tackles in the first quarter last week. I mean, he only finished with 8, but at a certain point, I think John has a chance to really have that signature moment that we need to walk out of there with his W. And we picked the first 4 games of the season, and we all know how that turned out. We haven't picked this game yet. Who do you have winning on Sunday?
I gotta go with the Commanders. My heart says Commanders, and I feel as though the players' hearts as well says Commanders. So and I think as far as the score is concerned, I think I don't think we're gonna get to 30 points. I don't think we're gonna get 30 points. I see us maybe like 24, 25-ish to 21. That's what I see, man.
That close.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and I was hoping for my butthole not to pucker. 24 to 21 will make me a little bit scared, but we'll see how it goes. But I'm with you, man. I think the Commanders pull this one out because of all the reasons I stated earlier. They get a chance to bounce back, and they get a chance to go into Chicago, potentially to even this thing up at 3-3 for a record. I'm going to go 27-17 Commanders.
Wow. Okay.
To me, it's about the body blows. You set them up with the body blows with that run game, and then towards the end of it, you hit him over the top with Terry, and you get him with that haymaker. And we got a chance, like I said, to walk out of there, hopefully, as Robin was suggesting, with a smile on Sunday. But thank you guys for listening to Rally and me for another show. Always makes me smile. We appreciate it. And we'll get back at you next week with our recap of this game and our preview of the Bears game.
Thank you guys once again for listening to myself and Tailgate Ted. As he said, it means a lot. And I look forward to getting the dub on Sunday and coming back with Monday's recap with all smiles, just like our homegirl Robin said. And on that note, we'll rep it hard, but don't rep it at all. And we'll be out.
But I am still thirsty.